Hello. Welcome to number 9 with Lucas and Pixley.
Yeah, I'm Lucas.
And I'm Pixley.
Oh, that was gross. Don't do that. So this is if we decide to actually do anything with this podcast and put it somewhere and have other people other than just us listen to it. It's basically just going to be about us talking about fandoms that we are in and fandom experiences and things like that. It sounds stupid, but there's 8 million other podcasts with this exact premise.
So you can't make fun of us.
So you can't make fun of us. We're literally minors in neurodivergence.
You can't. It's not allowed.
So
we've been in the trenches.
We've been through a lot.
So
some of it more regrettable than others.
Yeah, I think we have
but
free reign.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. I think so. This is our first episode, I guess.
Yes.
And we decided to talk about Star Wars because I guess we have a death wish.
Well, it's because we talk about it anyway.
We talk about it a lot all the time, off mic. We are very passionate about Star Wars in the worst way possible.
Yeah, we're not we love Star Wars.
It's the worst thing ever.
It's a deep, passionate
hatred.
Yeah.
We hate Star Wars, which is why we're going to talk about it.
I've never seen Star Trek, and Star Trek is better.
I have seen Star Trek, and Star Trek is better. I can attest to that. It has better gay people, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord knows I love Finpo, but...
Oh, God. We'll get into that.
Star Trek has better bait. That's just kind of... And Star Trek doesn't have Reylo, so... So before we get into it, I wrote this list of planning. Yeah. Do you have any current hyperfixations right now, Pixel?
Well, I don't have ADHD, so it's more just a really intense obsession.
Sure.
This is so embarrassing. Right now...
This is a safe space. Say what you
This is a safe space.
Be who you are for your pride.
Be who you are for your pride. Right now, I'm really into Dimension 20, which is a tabletop RPG, live play game where you just watch a bunch of millennials play D&D. It is hilarious, and it takes no brain power to understand. It's exactly what I'm looking for. Also, I just read a really good book, so now I'm kind of into it. I just gave Lucas the book today. It's called Gideon the Ninth. I highly suggest if you want a good book about lesbians.
Very fun.
How about you?
I have 3 different interests right now, which is because my brain said we're gonna multitask. As always, I'm still on the Batman slog.
Still on the Batman slog.
I don't know if I'm ever gonna get out of the Batman slog.
It's okay.
DC Comics is very fun. I hate it so much. It's been this since last December, and I'm thinking, hey, let's go for a year. Why not? Currently, right now, I am unfortunately getting back into Cobra Kai because the season 4 trailer came out the other day, and so my brother and I have decided to rewatch it in preparation, and I would never recommend this show to anyone. It's so terrible. It's just so bad. It is one of my favorite TV shows in the world. I don't really know how else to explain it. It got nominated for an Emmy for best comedy show, and that was this year. Obviously, it wasn't going to win, but everybody in the fandom I saw on Tumblr was if it wins the Emmy, we riot.
It does not deserve it.
It doesn't deserve anything. This show sucks, and it's awesome. Don't watch it, ever. But hey. We will talk about it in the future.
Oh my god.
And how, Ready is the worst thing to ever happen to us.
That's definitely going to be a whole episode.
Well, that's going to be 3 episodes.
It's going to be a 3-parter.
But I will say that Cobra Kai, with the sort of dynamic of 80s childhood two lovers, it's better than Ready. It's worse, but it's better. I don't know how else to describe that, and I'm not going to.
It's bad, but it's good, and it's worse, but it's better.
Yeah, you get it. Don't ever watch the show, Pixley. Just don't do it.
Wasn't planning on it.
Yeah, don't.
Let me know.
And then my other current thing since the beginning of September is...
Do you remember?
Yeah, is Ted Lasso, because I'm insane. It's a really good show. That is a show I would recommend.
Everyone on Earth has watched Ted Lasso, except for me.
You really should. It's very good.
It's just... my brain has run out of room for information.
You don't really need to apply much brain power
Yeah.
to it. It's fun. It's got the actress who was Jackson's white mom on Sex Education.
Oh!
Yeah. It's good. It's a good show. And,
Yeah.
you know, Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah.
And the other coach is, you remember that one episode of Community where Britta and Shirley pick up the hitchhiker who thinks he's Jesus?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a character on the show.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's great. We love Ted Lasso. But anyway, enough about other things that aren't Star Wars. Let's talk about maybe one of the worst things to ever happen to pop culture, and simultaneously one of the best things, if you ask me, if we're just talking about the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So...
A long time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away... in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a guy named George Lucas had a terrible idea. And he made so much money off of it.
And it looked like literal shit.
It looked so bad.
So bad. But
and now Disney owns it and it's terrible.
Yeah.
So what was your, I mean, basically everyone under the sun knows Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's been around forever, and it's like, if you haven't heard of Star Wars, or at least watched A New Hope, have you been living under a rock?
Yeah.
But like, when do you think the first time you really got into Star Wars was? Probably pretty young, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. It was either you, because me and Lucas have been friends for like eons.
Too long.
So it was either Lucas or my brother had friends who I used to hang out with them with him, but I wasn't really friends with them. But they would show me movies like Jurassic Park and shit, and one of them was Star Wars. And I was like, wow, I don't understand anything.
Yeah, and I mean, the world building on that is insane.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who like know all these background characters in like different languages, and I'm like, things with extensive world building like that, the only thing with worse world building than Star Wars is Lord of the Rings. And that's because J.R.R. Tolkien was crazy, and he wrote like, okay, I'm not gonna go get my copy of the book right now, but I have a second edition copy of Return of the King up in my room. And if you read through the book, you finish the story, and you still got like a quarter left, and you're like, what is this? It's appendices about all the characters and the world of Middle Earth that he wrote. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
But this is not a Lord of the Rings episode.
No, it's the Star Wars episode.
It's the Star Wars.
When did you first get into Star Wars?
I first got into Star Wars, God, I was probably like 5 or 6.
Oh, wow.
I remember my brother and I kind of got into it around the same time once he was old enough to really start appreciating actual movies instead of just like chewing on his toes. 1 year for Christmas, when DVDs were still kind of a thing, our parents gave us the boxed set of the prequels and the original trilogy, which was pretty fun.
Can I make a confession right now?
Yes.
Recorded?
Do it.
I have never seen the prequels.
And you know what? I honestly think that's pretty valid.
Here's the thing with Star Wars is I have so many opinions on it that probably aren't warranted because I've only seen
because you haven't seen the prequels.
Of it.
I mean,
but like, wasn't Natalie Portman in them?
Yeah,
she's
she's in them. Ewan McGregor's in them.
Ewan!
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I have like a very love-hate relationship with the Star Wars prequels because I feel like a lot of people, I think, just hate it too much, and I'm like, okay, they're not that bad. But then sometimes I'm like, wow, they kind of do suck.
From what I've seen, it's like, you know how the original trilogy looks like shit?
Yeah.
But it was like filmed in like the late 70s, early 80s.
So it has that
it's a
excuse.
past, right?
Yeah.
These were filmed in like the beginning of this century. Like the beginning of the 21st century. How does it still look?
Yeah, it doesn't
that
look
shitty?
good. The CGI, particularly in The Phantom Menace, which is episode 1, it's just really, really bad.
And, hey, it gifted us Jar Jar Binks.
It gifted us Jar Jar Binks, which is its own special kind of hate crime. No offense to the actor who plays him. I can't remember his name, but he was like...
plays him? Was someone in a Jar Jar suit?
Well, I don't know if he did the mocap, but I know somebody had to voice him, obviously. But I forget the actor's name, but he was getting like hate mail for that, and I felt bad. Like, obviously Jar Jar Binks is annoying, but that's not his fault.
I think we could discuss this at some point. We need to discuss the Jar Jar Binks effect in the Star Wars trilogy.
The Jar Jar Binks effect in the Star Wars trilogy. Yeah, we will discuss that at some point in this episode if we remember to. So yeah, I have been a Star Wars fan for a long time. So have you.
Yeah.
I've been to Disney's Hollywood Studios. I haven't been to the new...
I want to go so
It
bad.
looks really
Galaxy's
cool.
Edge. I hate Star Wars, but I would sell
And I
my
hate
soul.
Disney.
I would sell my soul to go to Galaxy's Edge.
No, Galaxy's Edge looks so fun. I have not been to Disney World. The last time I went to Disney World was like 5 years ago. But I have been
We
to...
do not like the mouse.
We don't. Let's just get that out of the way. We don't like the mouse, but Galaxy's Edge looks very fun.
Yeah.
And I've done the Jedi training thing at Hollywood Studios, which is pretty fun too.
Yeah, I mean, it looks expensive.
It is.
Incredibly so.
But it's fun.
But
yeah.
it looks very fun. Yes.
Yeah, very fun. Okay. So before we really delve into talking about why we hate Star Wars, which, I mean, you could fill a book with why we hate Star Wars and why we also love it. It's
coming soon.
Yeah, Love-Hate Relationship with Star Wars by Lucas and Pixley. Who would you say is your favorite character in the Star Wars universe? I know you haven't seen the prequels, but
It wouldn't. I don't.
it
Feel
probably
like
wouldn't be a
someone.
character from there
Probably
anyway.
Lando. Like objectively.
I was gonna say Lando.
Yeah. But okay, y'all. Here's the thing: is with the trilogy characters. When I was really into the sequel trilogy, I really made them into something that they just were not.
Because they didn't get good writing.
Because they had terrible writing.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I wrote Rey, she would be my favorite character.
I could fix her.
I could literally fix her. Unironically, I could fix her, but because she is what she is, I feel like I have to say Lando.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say, like, I am a huge Poe Dameron and Finn stan, and I love Rey too, and Rose Tico. But all four of them, especially Rose,
Just absolutely butchered.
terrible writing. Rose and Finn have some of the worst writing of any Star Wars character I've ever seen. It's very unfortunate.
There was not a single character in the sequel trilogy that is written well.
I know.
Objectively.
I know. Like, literally no one. It's so unfortunate. Not even the characters from the original trilogy are written well.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say that Lando is my favorite. There's just something about him.
Yeah. It's a gay thing.
It's a gay thing.
His little cape.
His little capes, his hair. I mean, we love Billy D. Williams. We love Donald Glover. Solo was a pretty forgettable movie, but I think Donald Glover...
I've also never seen any of the like Star Wars like spin-off movies.
Have you seen Rogue One?
I have not seen Rogue
Okay,
One
'cause
because
I
I heard they all died and it was a useless movie.
I don't think it's useless. I mean, I think it's kind of fun. I would recommend Rogue One. Solo, I would only really recommend for Donald Glover.
Yeah, like why would I watch it if not for Donald Glover?
Yeah, he's kind of what makes that movie for me. I've only seen it once. It was a long time ago. I saw it when it came out in theaters. I haven't seen it since. Yeah, Rogue One's actually pretty good though. I would say that you should probably watch
But
it.
I feel like it was just so blindingly obvious that the only reason that they existed was because Disney could only release one sequel trilogy movie every 2 years, and they needed that holiday cash grab.
They needed that holiday
So they were like,
cash
"Ooh,
grab.
what can we fill this space with?" I know, and then they made
Yeah,
two
that's
movies.
yeah, pretty much. I will say the best part of Rogue One is maybe like 5 minutes of it where they have, because it's like the end of the movie is pretty much right before the beginning of A New Hope, like when Vader boards Leia's ship in the beginning of that movie, and I would say that like the best part of Rogue One is the end when they get Vader coming out, because it's like, well, coming out is gay. When Vader comes out, because it's like in from like a modern like CGI perspective, he looks really good. I mean, Vader has always looked good, but I don't mean why you make that face. I don't mean Vader's sexy. I mean he's a fun character with a cool character design. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I do not want to have sexual relations with Darth Vader. I will make that clear. He's a burnt little crisp of a man,
Can
and
you
I
imagine,
don't.
though?
I don't want to imagine.
Like the heavy breathing? Sorry.
Hey, I'd still rather him than Kylo Ren.
Obviously. Least favorite Star Wars character. How
Least
about that?
favorite Star Wars character, probably Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And partially because he was badly written, but also partially because the fandom is insane. I don't want to talk about the Star Wars fandom, but we're gonna have to because we're making this episode. Y'all treat Kylo Ren. It's the Draco Malfoy effect.
Literally, like
It's the same people who like Kylo Ren are the same people who think that Billy from Stranger Things is a good person.
no, Kylo Ren is like Draco Malfoy, but worse.
But worse.
Because Draco Malfoy, like, first of all, fuck Harry Potter, fuck J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, absolutely. And fuck Draco Malfoy. Like, I
Fuck
fucking hate
Draco
him. But
Malfoy. But like, he only had like what, like less than 30 minutes of screen time in that whole entire 8 movies.
something like that. And it's like, obviously what he did was not excusable, because like he was literally like
oh,
a
for
little...
sure. Like, I think that the people that, but like, they really blow him up to be something that he wasn't even. But
They're like, he's a tortured soul. No, he wasn't. And I mean, like, At least he has a somewhat of an explanation as to why he ended up that way, though, because he was raised with that mindset. Kylo Ren was raised by Leia and Han.
He was literally raised by the heroes.
His parents were Leia and Han. He was trained by Luke Skywalker, and he chose to be a dick on his own. So that's why we hate Kylo Ren. Also, it's fun to laugh at Adam Driver, though.
Adam Driver, listen.
I just had sex and I'm gonna eat nachos!
Good soup.
It's good soup.
I'm sorry, okay, wait. For you, worst movie in the sequel trilogy?
Worst movie in the sequel trilogy, Rise of Skywalker.
Absolutely.
I don't like Last Jedi, but Rise of Skywalker is objectively worse.
Yeah, for me, if you asked me what the worst movie in the sequel trilogy would have been before Rise of Skywalker came out, I would have said The Last Jedi. There's no way it could have gotten any worse than that.
We jinxed ourselves.
What was going on?
JJ, what did you do?
J.J. Abrams, he really had us in the first laugh.
The first half.
He had us in the first half.
Not gonna lie.
Because I thought that The Force Awakens had its problems, but it also had potential.
Yeah, the thing that I think most people had issues with The Force Awakens was that it was basically just A New Hope.
Yeah.
Which I understand. It really wasn't that unique of a storyline. It was pretty much just a carbon copy of A New Hope, which was stupid. But, the characters had potential. The fight scenes were fun.
Yeah.
I really genuinely enjoy The Force Awakens as a movie. And I just kind of like to pretend that they canceled the sequel trilogy after that.
Yeah.
Because the other two movies are not worth watching.
And I think that, in The Force Awakens, there is not even, an inkling that you get that they're going to try to redeem Kylo Ren. Because he literally kills his dad.
Who is Han Solo, mind you.
Which, okay, first of all,
Matt
good for Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
He got out of there quick. He saw where it was going, and he said, I am not sticking around for that shit.
Nah, just kill me off. I don't care.
They literally made Carrie Fisher do the movies posthumously. That is so horrible. Good for him, right?
Good
Everyone
for
was
Harrison
so
Ford.
sad.
He got out of there. He was just I can't do this.
I remember when it came out, I was in, 5th grade? And everyone was like,
grade.
It's so sad.
Everybody was like, oh my god, they killed Han Solo.
died.
My mom has always been a huge Han Solo fan because she loves Harrison Ford, and I think she was crying in the theater. Yeah. And, everybody in the theater was like, no way. It was this huge twist, and it was like, we can't believe that just happened. And then they kill off Luke and Leia in the next movies, and it doesn't have the same, weight to it.
Yeah, it's it's you're expecting it, you know?
Yeah,
when Leia's the only one left, you're like, okay, it's time for her to go.
The audacity they really had to kill off every single member of the original trio.
And for what?
Movie by movie. Lando got to be alive, but he also didn't get to do anything fun.
Oh my god. We'll get to the Rise of Skywalker.
We'll get to the Rise
Let's focus on The Force Awakens.
Let's focus on The Force Awakens, which was actually not a bad movie.
The Force Awakens, again, Kylo wasn't really trying to be redeemed. And personally, I found them both very menacing and also hilarious.
His little freakouts where he's
I love it when he when Hux comes in and he's like, sir, blah blah blah, and then he fucking destroys a whole panel board, and it's just wow, you are so emotionally immature.
And little ginger twink Donald Gleason is
alright,
I'm just gonna get out of here.
Donald Gleason, we literally cannot escape him.
He's everywhere. He's in everything. Is he even that good of an actor, or just what is it about him?
I think maybe he's gone behind some done some backdoor deals where now he's just in every popular movie ever made.
Well, I feel like there might be a slight nepotism factor because his father is Brendan Gleeson, who is actually a great actor. And I'm not saying Donald Gleason is a bad actor. It's just
But the material he was given.
The material he's given. Oh yeah, I feel this could be said about every single new character introduced to the sequel trilogy. But Hux had fun potential that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And, okay, I am not a Kylux shipper. I want to make that abundantly clear.
I believe that Kylo Ren should be rotting in prison.
Yeah, that. But the only time I would ever even think of being into Kylux was in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Because their dynamic there was a little bit fun. But still, when I watched The Force Awakens, I was focused on Finn and Poe because I have taste.
And that's the thing about The Force Awakens, is that it is so gay.
That's the one movie we got with the bait, and then we were like, oh my god, and then we got nothing afterwards.
But we were still holding out.
There's not gonna be gays in Star Wars, you stupid slut.
But we believed anyway.
We clowned ourselves. But I remember, it was just... Reylos go to a clown school, but Finpos go to a prestigious clown academy.
They go to a clown academy. No, but actually, the stuff that happened with Finn and Poe in the first movie was very genuinely, you could read it so romantic.
So good. And that whole interview on, Ellen or whatever, where Oscar Isaac, God, he died for our sins, where Oscar Isaac was like, well, I was playing romance. Hell yeah, you were.
Of course you were. There's something so, there's just something so gay about all of it.
It's just so unbelievably queer.
Yeah, and like, I'm sorry, you met this man once, and then you thought he died, and then now you have his jacket?
No, their whole thing, it's just so... And I mean, I feel like Oscar Isaac gets a lot of credit for, like, being a Finpo warrior, but John Boyega does it too.
John Boyega does it too.
I mean, he's a Finray warrior, and as he should be.
As
and, like,
he
I feel
should
so bad for John Boyega.
God damn it. John
This-
Boyega.
He was treated like dirt. Disney, you are nothing. John Boyega is everything.
It is so... The things that they did to every single character of color
Literally.
were just... They should not have been allowed in any way, in any shape, or in any form. Especially Finn.
Especially Finn.
Finn
because
had endless potential.
endless. They set him up as force sensitive. He's gonna be a Jedi, and like that just didn't happen.
Can you imagine how fucking awesome it would be if a stormtrooper became a Jedi? Because you have this character, and he was literally a stormtrooper, and then he like switches over, and
Literally, the setup for Finn's character is so good, and then they just didn't do anything
we're
with
like,
it. The
okay.
most wasted potential of our gen.
Truly.
That's what I'm gonna like. Seriously, I mean, every character in that series wasted potential, but no one more than Finn.
And John Boyega, he could have like.
He could have owned it.
He could have owned it, but instead they just have him screaming,
Ray! Yeah, every 5 seconds. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, John.
John Boyega.
I'm so glad. And it's really sad because now he doesn't even like to talk about Star Wars anymore.
Well, obviously, like if you have that bad of an
No, I
experience-
know. I mean, I understand why. It just makes me sad that his experience was so awful that, like, this was something he's loved his whole life. Like,
Yeah.
he's been in interviews saying, like, I was so excited when I first got cast in Star Wars because I've loved it since I was a kid, and now it's just, like, ruined for him.
Yeah.
It makes me so sad.
It's truly tragic. And the other thing about The Force Awakens is that we get Rey, and that's when I'm like, okay, she's going somewhere, right? She has that cool-ass battle with Kylo Ren in the forest. No, that was Finn, right?
Well, it was all three of them.
It was all three of them?
In the snow forest, yeah.
Yeah, but it's, like, badass, because
That is a good
feel
battle.
like
I like that fight scene a lot.
Rey was, like, a female character who was doing more fighting than Leia did when she was the central.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I don't know. I was just like, wow, this is going to be really great. I can't wait to see more of her.
Then it wasn't.
And then it wasn't. We saw a lot more of her.
But it wasn't good.
Wasn't great.
Yeah. Daisy Ridley, hello?
And the thing that really just ruins the Star Wars sequel trilogy so bad is they're relying so heavily on the nostalgia factor.
Yes, which I understand. You can do that a little bit, but you shouldn't do it a lot.
Yeah, like when your entire trailer is just like, here's Harrison Ford, by the way, he's gonna die. Like,
Yeah.
Han Solo and Chewbacca. Chewbacca's gonna be around, but you're kind of, at the end of your day, you're kind of gonna be like, why was he there?
Yeah,
like,
you're gonna forget Chewbacca is there. Yeah, that's right. Chewbacca. You're gonna forget Chewbacca is there. He's one of the best characters in the whole franchise, and you're gonna forget he's there.
You're gonna forget all about
Because
Chewbacca.
we're the Disney company, and life is a fucking nightmare.
Yep.
Little sidebar here. This is gonna
Sidebar.
take me like 2 seconds to
Okay.
say, but it forever will piss me off that they didn't give Rey a double-ended saber as her weapon. Because you know how before she gets the saber, when she's just as a scavenger on Jakku, she has that staff?
Yeah.
She's clearly skilled with a weapon that's like double-weighted, she can use with both her hands. Why wouldn't they give her a double-edged blade? The only character we've seen with a saber like that in the live-action movies is Darth Maul, and he was evil. So it's like, why don't we get a Jedi, not a
Yeah.
Sith, with that kind of weapon? And it was like, why didn't they do that?
Why?
No,
will
we're just
say-
gonna give her boring little one saber. Okay, oops, loops.
I will
don't
say that the
care.
one thing I really did like about Kylo Ren was the way his saber looked. I thought it was really cool.
It's stupid, because, like, what are those little two things gonna do?
But like, it
But
was
it's
also
cool.
like, I feel like as Kylo Ren, who is just like a dramatic crybaby man, of course he's gonna have some super, like, that shit's gonna
Ridiculous.
like clip your hand when you try to fight with it.
Yeah.
But like, I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. Like, respect the aesthetic.
Yeah, like, I respect the aesthetic, I don't respect anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, if they'd had Kylo Ren take off that helmet, and instead of being Adam Driver, it had been pasty Darth Vader, like
Yeah.
in the last one, nobody would be standing Kylo Ren.
Exactly.
Nobody would be standing him.
And I just don't even get the appeal.
No.
Well, I am a lesbian.
Well, but I'm a
But you're
gay.
gay,
I'm a
so
gay man, and
take it.
I've never understood the Adam Driver appeal. I think he's a fine actor. I think he's funny to laugh at. Good soup. But, like, so many people are like, he's so attractive. And it's like, you're entitled to your own opinion, but I do not see it.
First of all, greasy hair.
Okay, well, that's the thing.
Glazed in sweat the whole time. It looks like he hasn't seen a shower
ever
since he left his mom and dad, right? And people are just like fawning over him.
I can fix him. Okay, well, I can make him worse. So
like, this man is just a white man.
He's literally just a white man.
John Boyega and Oscar Isaac are right there, and they are fine.
They're
like,
so
I don't know
hot.
What your deal is?
But you want to suck Adam Driver's toes? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And it was like in the first movie, his hair didn't actually look that bad. He got a ton of fans, and then they were like, yeah, let's grease it up. Why? Like, in the first movie, have you noticed that? That in the first one, it actually looks washed? And in the other two, it's like dripping, like Snape style.
It gets worse.
It's like, what are you, Alan Rickman and Harry Potter?
It's like they were doing like a social experiment. Like, how far can we take?
How far can we take this? How far are they gonna go to try and convince people that this man is attractive?
And they go to
the greatest lengths with their little blue butterflies and their Twitter handles. Oh my god! If you ever see a blue butterfly in a Twitter handle, steer clear. Walk away.
Immediately block. You do not want to be there.
You don't.
Another thing about The Force Awakens is I really liked the beginning. I think the beginning of The Force Awakens really made me just want to like watch the rest.
With Poe in the village?
Because it's with Poe in the village, and then you see Finn, and you see a stormtrooper die, and for the very first time...
Oh my god, and he leaves the handprint on his helmet,
for the very first time, you're like, oh, these are real people that are dying.
Because, like, for the longest time, we only thought of stormtroopers as just these expendable carbon copy dudes with terrible aim.
You don't even think that they're people. You just see them in their little suits.
I mean, when you see them in your suits, it almost dehumanizes them.
Yeah.
Because they all look the same,
point,
and that's the point. Yeah, they're just expendable soldiers. But it's like, that's the potential of The Force Awakens was just like, these people are dying. These are real people under these masks. They were taken from their homes and brainwashed by this organization.
There could have been such a good commentary over the sequel trilogy about like morality and war.
But there wasn't.
And instead it was just like, what the fuck is going on?
And also, we hate you.
And also, we hate you and please die.
Literally.
that was all we got. It was
it's just so, I mean, it makes me so angry to just like think about what we could have had and what we were instead given. Because it's just so bad. Such a waste of every single actor, director, producer's time. Like, it's just really, really disappointing.
Yeah.
But let's talk about something nice for a second.
Okay.
I want to talk about, we talked about it a second before, but let's really get into it because this is in the meat of this movie, Finn Poe.
Yep.
They have the most going on in The Force Awakens, and I think that's a very important thing to highlight.
Yeah.
It's so, like, it's just so solid. It's so good.
And it's so, like, central to, like, the whole thing.
It really is. It's like, can you imagine what we would have got? Like, because obviously of the prequel trilogy, the main romance is Anakin and Padme. Mm-hmm. Of the original, it's Han and Leia. It should have been Finn and Poe for the sequel, but Disney hates gay people.
And I will forever be mad about this one specific moment.
Is it the hallway scene?
Yes!
Oh my god. That's in The Last Jedi, though.
I think it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter.
There are other parallels in romantic things. You don't see any other romance being set up in the first movie.
Like, maybe if you wanted to stretch for it, you could see Finn and Rey, but not as much as Finn and Poe.
Yeah. And, like, the thing for me is that sometimes I do ship people who are probably just friends, right?
Sure,
They're
but
just guys
who cares?
being dudes. They're just girls being gals.
We're gay, we do what we want.
We're gay, we do what we want. But genuinely, with Finn Poe, it's like...
They should have been together.
Keep it, it suits you. Shut the hell
and
up,
his little,
man.
like, lip bite, he, like, looks him over and he does his little lip bite. Oscar, hello?
Okay, and, like, imagine you think that this man dies, right? And you just move on with your life, and then you see him again, and you run to embrace him. What's going on?
Like, you're wearing his jacket.
Yeah, like, and it's like, that's my jacket.
You construct intricate rituals.
It's so...
The rituals are so intricate. And it's just like... Yes, objectively speaking, there is not that much Finn Poe screen time, but the stuff you do get is so damn good.
Yeah.
And, like, the actors have such incredible natural chemistry with each other that it will just, like, that is why Finn Poe is one of the biggest pairings of all time on, like, AO3 and Tumblr.
Yeah.
And is so popular and has so many people creating content for it. Because Okay, my computer just like pixelated for a second. I got a little nervous.
That was good.
But anyway, as I was saying, because it's so good. The basis for this pairing, so good. The execution of this pairing would have been good.
It would have been good. And I really wanted to blame like the lack of Finpo in The Last Jedi on Ryan, whatever the hell.
Johnson.
Ryan Johnson.
God, I hate him. He's such
But
a
then
Kylo
J.J.
fanboy.
Abrams.
We thought J.J. Abrams was going to
We
save
thought he was
us.
our ally, but he was not.
He betrayed us. I mean...
Yeah, but Finpo, it's just so good.
It's so damn good. And, like...
And we continually... Oh my god, your PowerPoint presentation from last year. Lucas did a PowerPoint presentation where he ranked... You know how, like, on Tumblr, they, like, rank the top ship tags?
Every year, the Fandometrics Tumblr blog will make, like, this big master post that's, like... These are the top 100 pairings of this year based on, like, tag activity on this website, ranked in, like, popularity.
Yeah.
And so last year I got really bored over winter break, and I was like, fuck it. I created a Google Slides where I took all 100 of these pairings.
Every single one.
I ranked every single one of them by my personal opinion, and I wrote, like, paragraphs for every slide.
Yeah.
I was, like, dedicated. Finpo did take first place.
Finpo was first place.
And Raylo was dead last.
Raylo was dead last.
Raylo was dead last with a very close seconded by Herring Grove, but we'll talk about Herring Grove when we do our Stranger Things episode.
But, yeah, Finpo. Amazing setup in The Force Awakens.
And then it just went
then
nowhere.
We get to The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi is a homophobic hate crime.
For multiple reasons. First, let's talk about Luke Skywalker.
Oh, God! First of all, Luke Skywalker, first gay in space ever.
Yes, first gay in space. He set the tone.
He set
in his
the
Chanel
tone.
boots.
In his Chanel boots, his little Twinkie haircut. And I mean, Mark Hamill, he's like, if you think Luke Skywalker is gay, that's awesome. And I'm like, I only respect you. And then he's also like, I fucking hate Raylo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you deserve better, Mark. Like...
Luke Skywalker, in the original trilogy... We love Luke Skywalker.
We love him. He's such a whiny little twink. He's so annoying. I love him.
And he actually had a good character arc.
Oh my god, no, his character arc in the original trilogy is fantastic.
And we meet him again.
He sucks titty milk.
An island in the middle of nowhere.
With, like, those porg things.
Oh my god. Welcome to the Jar Jar
Welcome
Binks
to the
effect.
Jar Jar Binks effect. It's creating annoying characters that are usually some type of alien or animal, and it's not just in Star Wars, but it's in everything. But since we're talking about Star Wars, little things like porgs or even Ewoks that are kind of not funny, are kind of annoying, maybe a little bit cute at first, but then they just get...
You just keep seeing them, and you're like...
They don't go away, and it's clearly just an obvious cash grab.
And it's just so that the children don't get bored.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not to be confused with the R2-D2 effect, which is, in my opinion, a good thing. I love those silly little droids.
No, we love R2-D2 and C-3PO, who, again, were shafted by this trilogy. Like, I barely remember what they do in this trilogy at all.
Was C-3PO in this trilogy?
Yeah, remember, there's that whole bit...
Oh my god, wait, no! Because in the last one, he's like, oh, ba-ba-ba-ba, and everyone's like, why are you here, C-3PO?
And then they reboot him. They, they go to space Marlon Brando. The little Godfather alien.
Oh my god, that is another Jar Jar Binks effect.
That's another Jar Jar Binks effect. They have a tiny little alien mechanic that sounds and looks like Marlon Brando in The Godfather.
For no reason.
For absolutely no reason, and he doesn't even really do anything. He's just, Poe's straight love interest's boss. He's like a mafia boss or something. I don't know. I don't want to talk about Zori Bliss.
We'll get there, But The Last Jedi, this man is not Luke Skywalker, okay?
No.
I don't know who he is.
I don't know what you did to Luke Skywalker, but this isn't him.
And what a movie The Last Jedi was.
Them just trying to be like, he tried to kill his nephew. What?
Why?
This is a man who could literally find good in Darth fucking Vader.
Darth Vader.
Are you gonna really sit here and tell me that he would, see, one flicker of evil in his nephew and be like, fuck it, we gotta kill this 16-year-old child? That's not Luke Skywalker.
That literally isn't. And he's just sitting on this planet and teaching Rey about the Force, but I am so bored the whole time.
It's so boring.
It is the worst use of, 2.5 hours ever.
The Last Jedi is a very boring movie. I will say, okay, You know, at the end of The Force Awakens, she finds him on the planet, and it's that whole dramatic sequence of her, like, holding out his saber to him, and you're like, holy shit, she found Luke, she's gonna go train with him, it's Mark Hamill. Literally, the first scene of The Last Jedi, they pick up off from where that ended, and they fucking ruin it. He takes the lightsaber and immediately throws it over his shoulder for cheap laughs. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, my dad hates Star Wars because he hates fun things, he doesn't like sci-fi, and he thinks it's cheesy. And I've always disagreed with him, but now maybe I see where he's coming from.
Like, what? And that is such a Disney move.
It's such a Disney move. It's
Same
like, haha.
thing with Marvel movies.
They do it all the time.
We should talk about it at some point, but like,
maybe not in this episode.
No.
But, just...
We should do a Marvel episode.
We should. It'll be long.
We hate Marvel. We hate Marvel.
However much you think we hate Star Wars, we hate Marvel 30 times more. Like,
because there's nothing redeemable about Marvel for me, except for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which isn't even part of the MCU.
I mean, I would say there are maybe like 2 redeemable things about the MCU, and then I love Spider-Verse and like the older movies and the comics. But the MCU is what people know.
Yeah.
Like, that's the big mainstream thing, especially today, and it's just like we live in a society.
But anyway, same thing with the MCU and with the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Disney is like,
haha, we need
they're just
funny humor moments to just make the audience laugh instead of focusing on character development, because we don't
have
care.
none and we don't care.
Because we don't know where we're actually going with this, so we're going to distract you with bad jokes.
Yeah, it's like when J.J. Abrams finished The Force Awakens, he like wrote a list of things that he wanted to be in a sequel, and Rian Johnson picked it up and he went, "That's stupid," and he ripped it.
He ripped it up, and then he wrote Kylo Ren's soy boy fanfiction.
Yes, and then when Rian Johnson finished The Last Jedi, he said, "Okay, JJ, this is where I want the last movie to go," and he handed it to JJ, and JJ ripped it up.
Yeah, I think that's the main failure of this trilogy, besides the fact that it was Disney sanctioned. The switching of directors. They should have just kept with one director the whole time, or at least had some clearer communication between Johnson and Abrams. I don't know. I'm mad at Abrams because I thought he was going to fix things, and he did not fix things.
I feel like if Abrams maybe directed the whole thing, it wouldn't have been so bad. It still would have been bad, because The Force Awakens wasn't amazing.
I think if J.J. Abrams had directed the whole trilogy, it wouldn't be fantastic, but I definitely think it would be a lot better.
But no, we get Rian Johnson, and we get shirtless Kylo Ren.
Oh my god, he's so wide.
And we get no... I cannot stress this enough. We don't learn anything new about Rey.
We really don't. They're like, we're going to talk about her parents, and then it's like, but her parents are nobody except a weird cameo from Jodie Comer, and also she's Palpatine's grandchild, which canonizes in solid stone. Yeah, Emperor Palpatine has had sex before. At least once Palpatine has fucked, or otherwise Rey wouldn't exist, so suck on that, Star Wars fans. Like, awful. Jesus.
Horrible and awful. But The Last Jedi, I just didn't, like, what was the reason? Like, what was the reason for all of the Rey and Kylo Ren stuff, if not to make money off of Reylo?
Literally. And I mean,
why was he shirtless?
There was no reason for him to be shirtless other than for people to be like, oh my god, the sexual tension. What's sexual tension? He's a little bitch boy.
Daisy Ridley was being held...
Mom, I would like to personally apologize to my mother if you are listening to this. I know you don't like the word bitch, but it's Kylo Ren. I had to say it.
I'm giving Lucas the bitch pass.
It's Kylo Ren. It's warranted.
Yeah, it's so warranted.
Like, God. Okay, you know what pisses me off? What? I think maybe the most about The Last Jedi, besides what they do to Luke, and also just the way his character dies, the way that they just get rid of Snoke as a character. Snoke was so pointless. You think he's gonna go somewhere, and then it's like, nope, it was Palpatine the whole time. We have no original villains. Like, and he just died, and it was like in the lamest way possible.
When did they kill the I forget her name.
Phasma?
Silver, yes.
Phasma, I feel like, didn't she die in The Last Jedi?
She either died in the end of The Force Awakens.
No, it wasn't the end of The Force Awakens. I think it was in The Last Jedi, because remember,
And Phasma was, like, cool.
Phasma was cool.
I would have preferred for Phasma to stick around.
No, we love Phasma. She was fun.
She was more interesting than Kylo Ren.
Well, that's a pretty low bar.
Such a low bar.
But, I mean, she was like...
learned nothing about her.
Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss.
Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss.
I can't believe we got Gwendolyn Christie in Star Wars, and they never took off her helmet. Like, I feel like that's a special kind of lesbian hate crime.
Yeah.
No, Phasma was such a great character, and then, like, did nothing. And it's like...
and this happens time and time again in the sequel trilogy, is they introduce a character, the character does nothing. They introduce a new character, the character does nothing. Just have less characters.
Literally.
Have you ever considered having less characters?
And just focusing on, like, developing the ones that you do have.
Focusing on the main trio of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because what?
Finn, Poe, and Rey are the trio. If people try to tell you that Kylo Ren is part of the trio, they're lying.
Kylo Ren is the villain.
He is the villain. Rose is the Lando.
Yes.
Like, Kylo Ren is Darth Vader, but
let's
bad.
talk about Rose Tico.
Oh God, I'm so sorry, Kelly Marie Tran.
Kelly Marie Tran did her darndest.
She had to get off of social media because people were harassing her.
I don't even like know where to begin,
No.
right? Because Rose in The Last Jedi, she was a pretty good character. I was like, sure, yeah.
Yeah, this is
go
fun.
for it.
We like
This
her.
is
She's
fun.
a plucky little mechanic.
Yeah, like, you know, as a lesbian, go for it.
And then it's just like, but actually she's into Finn. And then in the next movie, she's not going to do anything.
Like, it's like, but actually she's into Finn, and they're gonna kiss.
Even though they're both clearly gay.
Yeah, they're both just, they could not be less compatible. But I don't even care, right? Like, okay. Like, I think when it came out, I was obviously very pissed because, like, Finn Poe for life.
Finn Poe for life.
But, like, Rose Tico...
As a character, loved her. And then they just, like... It wasn't even that they ruined her development. It was just she stopped being there.
Yeah.
I think she was in The Last Jedi for, like... Or not The Last Jedi. The Rise of Skywalker for, like, maybe a total of 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It was like she had this whole plot line going on. Like, the B plot of The Last Jedi was her and Finn doing their thing. And then it was just like she wasn't even in the third movie. It was like, what was the point of all that?
What was the point? And what did Poe even do?
I love Poe Dameron so much. I am a Poe Dameron stan until I die.
What did he do in The Last Jedi?
He didn't do anything in The Last Jedi. He just kind of was like mean to Leia for no reason, and then was like hating on Laura Dern.
And Finn was in a clear plastic
bubble
suit.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Also, hey, just in case you forgot.
That's
where the hallway scene was. Just in case you forgot, Laura Dern was in Star Wars.
Just in case you forgot, we have this star-studded cast who you are going to forget was in the movie.
Yeah, and Hugh Skinner was her first officer. I told you that.
I do not remember.
Jolie from Les Mis, young, whichever one of the dads that he was the young version of in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. I didn't see it, because I don't care for a Mamma Mia sequel. But, yeah. And then, what's his face? Dominic Monaghan, who was in Lord of the Rings, is in The Rise of Skywalker for like a second. I'm like, what's he doing here?
What are you doing here?
And then, like, okay, I just found this out by reading, I'm ashamed to admit this, I was reading a BuzzFeed article the other day.
Oh my god.
And it was like, movie cameos you never noticed. Lin-Manuel Miranda was in The Rise of Skywalker.
Are you shitting me?
There was like a scene where he's there for just like a second, just as like a very fast shot. He is great. Jump scare, Lin-Manuel Miranda is in Star Wars now. Which is like, that makes that movie significantly worse.
Yeah, and then so in the Last Jedi, Luke kicks a bucket.
And you're
like, oh, it's happening again.
Great.
Okay.
We still have Leia. No, you don't.
I think at that point she had literally already passed away, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher had died by that point. And it's The Last Jedi, isn't it, where there's that scene, there's that scene of, like, Leia's in a ship and it explodes and then she, like, pulls herself through space with the Force. It's like, okay, I get what they're trying to do with making Leia have the Force. Like, it makes sense because Anakin had the Force. Obviously, Leia should have it. But, and this is really not even the fault, well, it's kind of the fault of the sequel trilogy because they didn't do it well enough. But it's mainly the fault of the original trilogy for not, expanding on that. It's like, we know that Luke and Leia are siblings, and Luke is obviously extremely strong with the Force, so why wouldn't Leia also have it? And then the prequel trilogy just kind of hammers that in more. It's like, oh, Anakin's the strongest Jedi of all time. He has the most midichlorians or whatever they're called. And then it's like, okay, so Leia, like, why did it take, 40 years for us to see her actually use the Force? And then it was like in the dumbest, stupidest, ham-handed way possible.
And the thing that I really hate about The Last Jedi is, like, it wants you to think of Kylo Ren differently than you did in the first movie.
And you don't.
And you just, I don't want to.
I don't want to do that.
Like, it's like, oh, but he's mysterious. And,
I don't care.
He has a past
who give a shit?
His awesome family.
Leaving his awesome... You know how much I would give to be Han Solo and Leia Organa's kid? You had it easy, dude. That would be so fun.
But no.
But no.
But no. And
you decided to be a little edgelord.
Took off his mask way too soon.
Oh my gosh.
I just think that he should have stayed as, the antagonist of the series and not whatever they tried to do with him and horribly failed at. Because the thing that's so compelling about Darth Vader is that, he is truly and fully evil the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much.
But he has a past that you're interested in and you're thinking, wow.
And you don't see him without the helmet until literally when he's about to die.
Yeah.
Which is, so well done, and you're you don't know what to expect, and you just see this pale, burnt, crisp of a guy, and you're like, what happened to you?
Yeah. But no.
Darth Vader done so well. Kylo Ren done so
Kylo Ren,
not.
he just takes off his mask, and you go,
oh. It's some twink.
Okay. I guess.
Sure, whatever. This is what I will say about I know we're still talking about The Last Jedi, and we haven't really, but this is kind of the beginnings of Bendemption.
Fucking Bendemption.
Which is not real. Kylo Ren was not well redeemed at all, and we will talk about that when we get into The Rise of Skywalker in a minute, but it kind of has the inklings of starting to happen in The Last Jedi, because Rian Johnson is an Adam Driver fanboy. But it's the difference between Kylo Ren's quote-unquote redemption, end quote, and Darth Vader's is that Darth Vader didn't have one.
Yeah.
What's so good about Darth Vader's character in Return of the Jedi is that in that last final fight with Luke, Vader, and Palpatine, and Vader, throws Palpatine down, and he should have died there. He should not have come back. The second Death Star is about to blow up, and Luke is having this final moment with this man, and it's he's his dad, and he's evil, and he's killed people Luke loves, and he's done terrible things, but Luke is I have to give him this. He's about to die. And it's it doesn't necessarily redeem Vader, but it almost redeems him in Luke's eyes, or at least gives Luke a sense of, he may have been terrible, but he was still my father, and I will have a little bit of respect for him for that. But that is just in Luke Skywalker's eyes. Not in Leia's, not in Han's, not in literally anyone in the galaxy.
Yeah.
They weren't there, they don't have the connection to Vader that Luke does. They're just no, fuck that guy. He's dead, good. He was evil and messed up, And that's the thing. Darth Vader really didn't get a redemption. He was just he's just a complex character. Which is what makes him so cool. Not every evil dude has to be redeemed, guys.
Do not redeem your villains unless you are going to do it well.
Here, actually, can I amend this?
Yeah.
Do not redeem your villains unless your villain is Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
You will never do it as well as Zuko.
Or Katra from She-Ra and the Princesses of Power.
You can go home. It's never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen.
You gotta be Katra or Zuko, no one else.
Yeah.
You will never beat them, they will never be beaten.
So just don't.
Just don't try, because you won't.
So, what does The Last Jedi give us? First of all, it makes Rey truly and Welly boring.
Yeah.
I know I'm bored. But
it's she's just kind of...
Yeah, I love Rey! Oh yeah, Rey's great, because she's a woman and she's the main Jedi of this... No.
She's not interesting.
She is table salt.
And then it gives us Rose, and we're wow, Rose is pretty cool. And then they make her kiss Finn for no reason, and we're wow, this is weird. And Finn is just... What does Finn do? Except, first of all, his force sensitivity, all that totally pushed this out.
Yeah. Didn't even happen.
And then Poe, what is he doing?
Poe didn't do anything. Laura Dern was there. She had purple hair. She had sexual tension with Carrie Fisher, and then she died.
Imagine.
Yeah,
and then Luke Skywalker died, and at this point you're going, oh, they're gonna kill Leia next time.
Of course they are.
I mean, I thought Leia was gonna die in that one too, but no, they have to.
Yeah, they fool you with that one, and then they're well, we gotta spread them out, even though Carrie Fisher is actually dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just so bad. The one thing I will give The Last Jedi is that it was visually cool.
That is true. I do really like the visuals, especially what's that salt planet? Crate? I thought Crate looks cool.
With the red shit.
Yeah, and the little ice dogs.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was cool. I was this is visually very
But only visually. I didn't really care about anything going on, plot-wise on that planet.
The reason I like that a lot is because my pet peeve with any, sci-fi action movie where there's going to be, big, large-scale fights, I am tired of CGI explosions.
I understand.
I am so tired of CGI
it's boring,
explosions.
And it's overdone.
And we see so many of them all the time.
Mm-hmm. Marvel.
But also another thing that I did like about Last Jedi was that the fight scenes weren't horrible. Especially the ones where Poe was flying in the X-Wing and that shit.
Yeah, their flight fight scenes.
Flight fight
scenes were good. And I mean, I like elements of the throne room fight with Rey and Kylo against Snoke, but it just ended so stupidly.
In my mind, it's such like a Reylo thing.
Yeah, because they're like the red in this scene represents
Rey's.
Shut
the hell up.
The red in this scene represents Rey's uterus. She is now pregnant with Kylo's Force baby. What is wrong with you? Go outside. Go seek help. Please make some friends. Get off Twitter.
So
you're scary.
That takes us to The Rise of Skywalker,
which is one of the worst things to ever happen.
Which, first of all, going into The Rise of Skywalker, we knew what the trailer told us. We knew that Lando would come back, and we knew that Carrie Fisher was dead, so we were wondering what's going to happen with Leia.
Right. And
we knew that J.J. Abrams and his
was back.
Stupid freaking mind decided to announce publicly, we are going to have the first LGBT character in the Star Wars universe.
How did I forget about that? And so me and Pixley and all the other gay people on Tumblr, because we're idiots, were like, oh my god, they're gonna make Finn Poe canon. They're not gonna be. There's not gonna be gays in Star Wars, you stupid slut.
But I will say that is partially the fault of J.J. Abrams.
That is partially the fault of J.J. Abrams.
You're going to have the first LGBT character in Star Wars when, first of all, Lando Calrissian
and Luke Skywalker are right
already
there.
Existed, and Han Solo already existed.
And Leia, and Phasma.
All of them were so
Obi-Wan Kenobi, the gay man himself.
But okay, whatever, you're going to make it canon. We should have known from the get-go that it was going to be the same thing that Disney always does when they announce the
first gay character
in anything, where it's 1 second long so it can be edited out.
For China and Russia.
Like LeFou and Beauty and the Beast.
Or the homophobic cop and Onward.
Yeah. Like, so easy. So quick, such a simple fix.
Or Gay Joe Russo in Avengers.
And they have to stop saying the first gay character, because it's no longer the first gay character, and none of these characters are gay, because it is so insignificant to them.
I will say, when they did say first LGBT character in Marvel, that was, I was like, I didn't delude myself there.
Yeah.
I know people were doing that, and they were like, it's gonna be Bucky. First of all, no, it's not. But second of all, why do you care about Sebastian Stan that much? But like,
I get him confused with Misha Collins a lot.
They do look similar. Misha Collins is just like scarier though. he's also funnier, and I'd sooner rather have lunch with him than with Sebastian Stan. But God, he's terrifying. No, but like when they were like first LGBT character in the MCU, I was like, yeah, right. But when they said it for Star Wars, I was so stupid. I clowned myself.
I was so stupid. But also, there were baity things that were happening.
Because the bait was so good that we actually thought.
Yeah.
And because
J.J. Abrams was back and he did The Force Awakens, right?
Which gave us the Finn Poe ground.
The Force Awakens gave us a literal romantic setup for Finn and Poe. So we're thinking, if he's back, maybe there's a chance. No, there's never a chance.
It's a 2-second kiss between two unnamed women.
Yeah. Literally, it doesn't even look very affectionate. It kind of looks like they're smashing their faces.
It kind of just looks like they're eating each other.
Yeah. It's like, why? And it's at the very end of the movie. You've already gone through this whole shitstorm.
You've already had to watch Poe be forcibly heterosexualified.
I don't care at all.
I can't believe they made Poe Dameron straight.
I am a lesbian, and I could not care less that there are 2 unnamed lesbians in this movie.
Right.
And neither of them were like the weird celebrity cameos that were part of the Resistance. Like, you could have had Billy Lord kiss but
literally.
No.
But no.
No.
It was just these.
You couldn't have had people. Rose Tico 2 seconds kiss a woman.
I mean, at least then it would have been a named character.
But no.
Albeit one treated terribly, but at least we know who Rose Tico is.
So.
I mean, I'm still of the opinion that Rose Ray should have been a thing.
Rose Ray.
Do they even meet?
But no. And so we come into The Rise of Skywalker.
We've been coming into it.
And
somehow Palpatine returns.
the pain in Oscar Isaac's eyes. Okay. You know when you can just see the pain in the actor's eyes, like when you're watching Cats 2019, like they don't want to be here. Oscar Isaac, 2 times in that movie where there's just such a crystal clear, like sadness and pain.
It's somehow Palpatine returned, and anything with Zori Bliss. That's another thing. Let's talk about Zori Bliss. So she is this character from like that apparently they retconned into being like some character from Poe's past. Apparently they've known each other for years and they used to work together. Also, side note,
Spice Running was
Poe's previous job.
The Latinx character in this movie is going to be implied to be a drug dealer.
They literally managed to avoid racism with him, and then they were in their last movie and they were like, oh shit, we forgot, quick, write something weird and also make him straight. Like,
it just...
It's so
Zoe
messy.
Bliss, I don't know if you ever see her full face.
No, she wears this full facial helmet the whole time, and there's like one scene where you see like her eyes, but you never see anything below her eyes.
And I think that is so symbolic of what she meant to the story, because the only reason she was there is to make Poe straight. Was
to be like, just in case you thought Finn Poe was going to be a thing.
Female character written in solely to be like, no homo.
Yeah, I mean, you see it all the time. And I think that J.J. Abrams probably... because this is the movie where Reylo became canon, I think because he knew that's what he was going to do, he was like, oh, and I'm not going to spend time on Rose Tico because I hate Kelly Marie Tran, so I can't build up the Finn-Rose romance. That's going to leave an open ending for the little queers to think that Finn and Poe could be together. So let's shoehorn in this random faceless woman just to punch it in. Poe is straight. Poe does not like men.
But Oscar Isaac in that scene, that poor man, he was trying so hard to make it clear to the audience that this was not a thing.
This was not his decision and he did not want it. And literally, okay, despite that, we still do get some good Finn Poe moments in that movie, which is annoying.
It's so true.
That movie doesn't deserve that.
Yeah.
We deserved it, but the movie didn't.
So we've got Poe, right?
We've got Poe. He's a little fairy.
Poe's purpose in this movie is to be gay and then be told that he's not gay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Finn. And Finn, the entire movie has something to tell Rey.
And then he never tells it to her.
And then he never tells her. It's like they forgot to write it in. They were like, oh yeah, let's make sure that Finn tells Rey about...
whatever.
What?
Well,
about what?
So this is so we watched the movie in theaters when it came out because we knew
horrible experience.
It was a terrible experience, but we watched it together because we had to.
Yeah.
Because we've been in this for the long haul, and it was the long con. But what I will say is that as I was watching this, and Finn kept being like, "Rey, I have something to tell you. Rey, I have something to tell you." I kept being like, "Oh, he's probably gonna tell her he loves her."
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not a Finn Rey hater.
Sure.
I am a Finn Poe stan until the day I die, but I genuinely thought that they were going to have Finn Rey be canon, and I was like, you know what, I'm fine with that. Daisy Ridley and John Boyega have good chemistry,
it's something that makes sense.
It makes sense. So I thought that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
He was going to be like, Rey, I love you, and they were going to have a moment. Not only was that not what he said, he never got to say what he wanted to say.
He never got to say whatever he wanted to say.
And Abrams confirmed in an interview after the movie that he was wanting to tell her that he was force sensitive. And it's like, we knew that. And also, you should be a Jedi.
You should literally be a Jedi.
You should have been training with Luke.
You have something to tell her the whole time. So you get John Boyega, you get 2 lines to work with this whole movie. First line, Rey! Second line, Rey, I have something to tell you. You cannot make your black character's entire story arc revolve around this white woman.
Yeah. It's messy.
It's such a disservice to anything that Finn could have been.
It's so bad.
It is such a waste of potential.
And then it's so weird. It's like they set up potential for stuff that they're never going to do because they have Finn meet Jannah and all these other ex-stormtroopers. He's like, oh my god, there are more of me.
Jannah was such a possibly amazing character.
Literally.
She had how many lines? 5?
5, yeah. No, yeah, they go to this planet, they find this colony of ex-stormtroopers, and Finn is like, holy shit.
There are other people like me.
There are other people like me. They're trying to find out where they came from. Maybe I could find my family or my home planet or just some answer to my past.
But hey, we only have an hour left in this movie, so it's not gonna happen.
So it's not gonna happen, and you're gonna have to watch Reylo make out.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortably.
So one of the things that happens in this movie is that, there's a spy.
The spy!
There's a spy in the
There's
First
Order. There's a spy in the First Order
that's
feeding the Resistance information.
He's feeding the Resistance information.
It's fucking Hux.
It's fucking Hux. I'm the spy!
I'm the spy! And then he dies. And it's just there was absolutely no... Hux sucks, at the risk of rhyming.
Hux sucks! And there's nothing in any of the other movies or the rest of that movie to suggest that he would be the spy.
And
it's just because
they had already killed all of the other people that had names in the First Order.
So they
like,
needed to do this.
So they were like, Domhnall Gleeson, how do you feel about delivering the
I'm
worst
the
line
spy."
delivery ever? And then, like, what was the purpose? What was the reason?
His the canon excuse for him being the spy is that he just didn't like Kylo Ren, and it's like, agree, his vibes are bad, but that doesn't mean that Hux would betray the First Order, because he is fully in a position of power there, and he was like very much at the right hand of Snoke, probably even more than Kylo Ren was.
It makes no sense for someone that high up to be a spy to get information.
Yeah, there was never any inkling before that maybe his heart wasn't really in it. He was so into their beliefs. He had no doubts.
That whole scene is horrible because it's like Finn and Poe are there and they're about to
Make out.
They believe that they're about to be executed by firing squad, you know?
Right,
and,
yeah.
And then Hux walks in and
he
Finn and Poe
shoots
have
all
this
the
weird,
stormtroopers.
like, gay moment.
They have this weird gay
where
moment.
it's like, what are you
yeah.
trying to tell Rey? And then Finn's like, it doesn't matter. And then
Poe's like,
Lucas just like pulled down his glasses and like made a face. And then Domhnall Gleeson is just like, hey, I'm the spy.
and then he like dies later. I don't even remember how he dies.
But it's like,
I don't care. He doesn't do anything else in the movie. Like,
what was the point?
it's so.
It was the most anticlimactic thing ever to happen in the whole series.
God,
I'm the spy.
I'm the spy.
And then Rey's a Palpatine.
And then Rey's a fucking Palpatine.
Somehow.
And then it's just like somehow Palpatine fucks. And there's that whole bit at the end where like she's able to defeat Palpatine, where he's all like, I am all the Sith, and she's like, well, I am all the Jedi, and it's like so weird. And then you hear like all these Jedi's voices like in her head through the Force talking to her, like Luke and Leia and Yoda and Obi-Wan. And then this will always piss me off, because if you rent this movie on like Amazon or you watch it on Disney Plus today and you put on closed captions and you watch that scene, it'll say, Yoda, be strong with the Force. Obi-Wan, be strong with the Force. And then it'll say, female Jedi number 4, be strong with the Force. Guess who female Jedi number 4 is? It's Ahsoka Tano.
Oh my god!
The disrespect on her name.
Yikes!
The disrespect.
Female Jedi number 4. That's how Rey felt.
That's
She
how Rey
was female
was
Jedi
female
number 4.
Jedi number 4. Ahsoka Tano. Listen, I haven't watched the Clone Wars in years. I fell off of it so long ago, but Ahsoka Tano will forever be one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe. She's great. She deserved much better than that.
Yeah, what a nightmare. So we get this like Poe, Finn, and Rey are set up to be the trio, right?
Right.
The action of the movie is supposed to center around them. The action of the whole trilogy should center around them.
But they're so weirdly split from each other for the whole
They're
series.
so weirdly split from each other. And
particularly in the first two movies.
Yes, and in the original trilogy, they're doing all this stuff together, and then when they go off on their own, it's still like it's about them, and there's a somewhat equal balance of stuff about them, you know?
Right.
And then in this last movie, we get Rey and Kylo Ren, and that's who the movie's about.
Pretty much, and it's bad. It's really bad.
So let's talk about what happens to Kylo Ren in this movie.
Before we speak on Kylo Ren,
Okay.
just real quick, because I feel like I'm going to forget to mention this, and I just want to say it real quick. The final fight scene of this movie sucks so bad.
It's so bad.
The way that they're like, oh, the Resistance has completely lost hope, so no one's willing to come back us up for firepower, so we can't go against the First Order. And then it's just like, for no reason whatsoever, Lando's like, yeah, whatever, I'll call all my friends. And they just all show up, and it's like really fucking stupid.
Lando, it was so anticlimactic when Lando showed up. It was like, okay.
Billy D. Williams, I am so sorry that they did you like this, because you're great. I love you. And as a queer actor,
Yeah.
I love Billy D. Williams. She's fantastic, by the way, just in case you don't know, Billy D. Williams, I'm pretty sure, goes by any pronouns.
Yeah, I think so.
And is probably bisexual. Seems to be bisexual to me. I mean, it's confirmed that Lando is pansexual.
Yeah.
They've just never shown that. But it's like, we know that.
It's like,
We know.
We know.
We know. Have you seen the way he looks at Harrison Ford?
But yeah, that whole end.
Yeah.
The Rise of
what a kick in the
Skywalker-
face to Lando Calrissian and Lando Calrissian fans like us.
Yeah, it's like the Rise of Skywalker made like a long list of like, oh, here are all the plot holes we have to fill. Here's all the stuff we have to get through. And then they made a second list, and here's stuff we want to get through, even though it's not relevant to the plot.
And it's stupid.
And
then they chose the second list.
And they chose the second list, and they only got to half of the items on the first list, which is why we never figure out what Finn had to tell Rey.
Or like anything really about Rey's parents other than that Jodie Comer is there.
And fucking Chewbacca and C-3PO are still there.
And with both of those characters, there is a moment where you think they're dead. With
Yeah.
both of them. And then
But
they
no.
both come back. And it's just like, oh my god. And the whole bit with Rey with Sith lightning, that was fucking stupid. I feel like, I get it, if she's descended from Palpatine, but I feel like, first of all, there's no way Palpatine was the only dude ever to have Sith lightning. And second of all, I feel like that's only a power you could unlock if you were a fucking Sith, which
Yeah.
Rey is not. She's very much a Jedi.
I just...
Like...
I can't with Rey in that movie.
No, it's very bad.
The Rey Defense Squad disbanded.
The Rey Defense Squad has been disbanded after The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Force Awakens.
No,
Last
after The Rise
Skywalker.
of Skywalker.
Or really after the last half of The Last Jedi.
And so we get Kylo Ren, and
Jesus Christ.
he just... I don't even... What?
He doesn't kill Leia, but he does.
No, this is what's so horrible about The Rise of Skywalker.
Everything.
Kylo Ren is a character who has exacted horrible pain and suffering onto the women who are who are around him.
Right.
His mother, Leia, and Rey. Right?
Yeah.
Both physical and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
He's inflicted horrible and irredeemable things onto these women. And at the end of The Rise of Skywalker, Leia has died for him,
Mm-hmm.
and Rey has forgiven him.
Yep. And then Leia's death is in vain because Kylo Ren fucking dies anyway.
Yeah, what kind of message
They
is that giving that
It's
we are
awful.
supposed to forgive horrible men and die for
No,
them?
and just the message in general is that it's okay for young girls to be with someone who abuses them.
Yeah.
Because he's redeemable. There's always a light side to him. Please don't. I'm genuinely disappointed in Disney for that because it's I've seen young girls idolizing Rey. I don't want them seeing this and thinking it's okay if a man treats me like that.
Yeah.
Because no, it's not okay if a man treats you like that.
It's not. And so here he is, and his mom dies, even though he abandoned her and he killed her husband. His mom literally dies.
For him.
For him.
They come up with this stupid ass retcon where they're basically just oh, by the way, force healing is a thing now.
It was so...
You know how much that could have helped in the earlier series
I
if we had
cannot-
force healing?
I cannot imagine how much they had to pay Harrison Ford
to come back for those
come back
30
for those,
seconds.
30 seconds
Yeah.
where he's on the rock in the ocean and waves are splashing over him, and then Han Solo appears and he's like, Ben!
You killed me, but it's fine.
Ben, I see good in you.
Shut up,
man.
I will tell you, I think what's most confusing about that scene to me is that I don't know if it's a projection of Han's spirit that Leia is showing Kylo, but Han is not force sensitive.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't appear as a force ghost because he never has been force sensitive.
They were like, how can we redeem Ben Solo as quick as possible?
Harrison, hey! If we write you a
Harrison,
check
we will
for
give you
$80,000,
so much money for 30 seconds.
we will top bill you for this movie if you come do this one
We will
scene.
pay you more than John Boyega.
Well, we're gonna pay everyone more than we're gonna pay John Boyega, so...
God.
Jesus Christ. We're gonna pay Lin-Manuel Miranda more than we're gonna pay John Boyega. Yeah, it's real bad. And
So...
that whole scene, too, it's just so, half-assed. It's
Adam Driver doesn't even want to be there.
No, even Adam Driver doesn't want to be there, and he's talked about how he's enjoyed playing Kylo Ren, which, okay, I can understand that. I think being in a Star Wars movie in general seems to be, a lot of fun, and Kylo Ren, even though he's whiny, probably a fun character to portray, especially in Force Awakens with that forest scene. That must have been really fun to shoot. But it's you can tell that Adam Driver is what have they done? Even Adam is I hate this writing.
Yeah.
And, just that, people will be Bendemption. Kylo Ren had a redemption arc. It wasn't a redemption arc so much as it was Han Solo appears to him, and then 30 seconds later, it's Kylo Ren flips a switch in his brain from on to off, and suddenly he's not evil anymore, and he's gonna have no misgivings about turning to the light and defeating Palpatine.
Yeah, so he's
It's
just
so
gonna crawl
lazy.
through this fucking cavern and show up and
In this
kiss
ugly
Rey.
ass sweater.
He looks awful.
He looks
and
so
he's
bad.
gonna kiss Rey for what? And then die.
Fucking die. Yeah, it's just terrible.
And then, oh yay, everything's fine. What just happened? Literally what just happened? And then meanwhile, we've got Lando Calrissian and his just, entourage of random ass people and defeating the First Order. And it's
Okay, it's just so goddamn anticlimactic. I will tell you, I read an interview. I forget the actor's name, but it was the guy who first voiced Admiral Akbar in the original trilogy, and they brought him back. So, they kill Admiral Akbar off in the sequel trilogy. I can't remember if it's The Last Jedi. No, it's The Last Jedi because Rian Johnson factors into the story. They kill him off in The Last Jedi, and it's like this scene where like this actor did an interview where he was like, I've been playing this character for 40 years, and I was sad to see him go. So I thought after we shot the scene where I was voicing his death, that we would have like a little moment or something. But then fucking apparently Rian Johnson and some other members of the crew were like, that was really fucking funny. Can we get some pictures of you with the puppet? It's like, I know that Admiral Akbar is a pretty minor character, but that's just disrespectful to that actor.
Yeah.
Who's been playing this dude since 1970 whatever. And also, why'd you kill off Admiral Akbar? Everybody likes him.
The mysteries of... I truly believe... I'm going to say this with multiple things we talk about, probably. But I truly believe that I, a high schooler...
Could write it better. I could fix Star Wars.
I could fix the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I really could.
Yeah, no, I completely agree because I could do the same exact thing. I think we really need to just, go to the mountains...
Yeah.
And rewrite every terrible thing we've ever had to sit through to make it good.
Yeah.
And then mass release it to everyone and refuse to go to court when we get sued.
Yeah. Fuck your intellectual property.
I don't give a shit about copyright. You did it badly. We're making it better.
This is a service to you.
We really should write joint fanfiction. I can't believe we haven't done that before.
Joint fanfiction.
It's kind of...
Yes, we have. Back in the day.
Okay. That is a story for an episode that we will never make.
We will never make.
I can't talk about...
We can't talk about it. Just don't say anything.
Why would you... Oh, I meant real joint fanfiction, not that.
Yeah, but anyway. So, yeah, The Rise of Skywalker, a horrible movie.
So bad.
With too much going on, a horrible ending, and Finn and Poe should have kissed anyway, but they didn't. Instead, they just have this weird hug.
I will say that the whole scene where they're like, General, I was like, and they were co-generals.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, JJ. Even through all this bullshit, you still got me with your Finn Poe. I hate you.
It's so stupid. And then the movie ends, and we walk out of the theater, and we go, that was the worst thing we've ever seen. And
it was.
And it was.
And we saw Cats like a week later, and Cats was better.
Cats was incredible.
Which is a problem.
Yeah. So, obviously, the worst thing about The Rise of Skywalker wasn't even the movie itself. It was the reception of the movie by fans who liked Reylo.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they went fucking insane.
They went insane, and John Boyega...
Can we talk about it?
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry for him, but what he did was so fucking awesome.
What he did was so fucking funny. Star Wars romance.
Star Wars... So
Star
if you
Wars
are
romance.
living under a rock, or just in case you're listening to this and you're a Reylo stan, which, why are you
Get
here?
out.
Go away.
We don't like you.
We don't like you.
I'm a traitor to my fellow women.
Pixley is a traitor to her sisters and her fellow women. Just like that one Reylo said in that article, if you guys haven't seen that. But if you were unaware of what happened, this was, oh my god, almost 2 years ago this happened. Jesus. That is, pandemic time is not real. Also, sidebar, we meant to start this podcast 2 years ago.
This microphone that we're recording this on right now has been sitting in Lucas's room for literally 2 years.
Yeah, literally, it came from Amazon, and then we went into lockdown and got canceled out of school, and we couldn't hang out because of COVID-19.
So here we are.
2 years later. With this blue Yeti mic I got for $100. I hope this is worth it.
But I think this is good.
I think this is good. We're
we would
more
have had
mature
different opinions
now.
on some things.
And also, by that point, The Rise of Skywalker would not have come out. No, yes, it would have.
Yes, it would have. It would have been fresh in our minds.
That would have been fresh in our minds.
But yeah, John Boyega, I think he posted that tweet pretty soon after.
It was I remember it vividly because it was New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
It kicked off 2020.
Yeah.
Star Wars romance. He posts 4 images of screen caps of Rey and Kylo Ren from separate movies of them just killing each other.
Literally murdering each other.
Her stabbing him with a lightsaber and him force choking her and shit like that. And the caption says Star Wars romance with a heart eyes emoji.
Star Wars romance.
So goddamn funny.
He is the funniest man ever, and I also just feel so terribly for him because Reylos are obviously attacking him, calling him misogynist, all this shit.
Yeah.
The things that man had to go through, both within the movies and outside of the movies, I cannot imagine.
I mean, even from the get-go, just from getting cast as a black man in a lead role, he was facing racism for that. And I mean, in like the promotional posters for The Force Awakens in China, they literally shrink Finn on the poster as to be smaller so that he doesn't catch the eye as much.
And then within the movies, his character is just fucking butchered.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to find it okay? Like, I don't...
Yeah, it's just so goddamn unfair.
But this man...
Iconic.
Despite it all, despite the Reylo hate comments and all them being like, you hate women! You hate women so bad! He posts this video.
Oh my god, the video! I love it so much.
And it's just like this badass video of him, like, it's hilarious.
It's like edits of him like riding a scooter and doing like dance moves like Jimmy Fallon. It's like hate tweets flying at him and then he like leaves tire marks on them and like lasers them in half. It's so goddamn funny. And then he goes, well, that was fun. What's next?
He does not give a fuck.
He does not give two shits about what the Reylos think of him, nor should he.
And I think that Star Wars is in the past for him, and thank God, because, man, that was a horrible, horrible time. It
really, really was. And then, oh my god, okay. So Jenny Nicholson derogatory, you know her, right?
Yeah.
I have friends who like watch her not for Star Wars stuff but for her other stuff, and I'm like, they're like, do you watch Jenny Nicholson? And I'm like, never. I hate Jenny Nicholson. She is popular on YouTube for like, I guess she does like vlogging and like gaming stuff, but she talks a lot about Star Wars. She's also verified on Twitter. She is a Reylo. And just like with a dangerous platform. And so she was at like the forefront of people who were like, John Boyega's a misogynist, never cast him in anything ever again after all this went down. Fast forward a couple months later. Okay, this is, June of 2020. Black Lives Matter marches all over the world. John Boyega is out here risking his career to be at the forefront, using his platform for BLM. And people are like, we need to stand up for John Boyega because directors will try to blacklist him from movies for this. Yeah. And that shouldn't happen because he's speaking up for what's right. Jenny Nicholson goes, John Boyega should not be uncast from any movies. He should still continue work as an actor for doing the right thing. People were in her mentions like, what are you talking about? You were literally hating on him like last month for like calling him a misogynist. Instead of responding to these people, she just blocked them. And most of them were people of color.
Yeah.
It's really not a good look, Jenny. It's really not a good look.
And it's just, Reylo is...
so bad.
So bad. And so dangerous for a number of reasons, like what you were talking about earlier. But also just like, it is never healthy to be that into a fictional parent.
No! Oh my god. Y'all were like, I haven't eaten or slept since Kylo Ren died. Dude, fictional character. Get a job.
And like, people were advocating for him to undie. The series is over, man!
They're not making any more of these movies.
Let it go!
Like, and that's
no one was happy. No one was happy.
No one came out of this trilogy happy. Not even the Reylos, which actually really just tells you something about them, that they were never really a fan of Rey. They were just a fan of Kylo.
Exactly.
Because they got what they wanted. They got a Rey and Kylo kiss, but they were still pissed because Kylo died.
Yeah.
And that was all they cared about.
Reylo is horrible. And there are still people who are so into it. And there's that fucking book that someone...
Jesus Christ. Oh my god, I forgot about
Listen
this
to this. There is a Reylo fan fiction that was turned into a published novel, and the names of these characters were just slightly changed, and it's some stupid AU.
It's like a college thing. I don't know, he's like her professor, which is like gross, first of all, the power imbalance there.
I don't know who allowed it to get published, but
jail, electric chair.
Jail. Like, horrible.
Yeah, it's awful. Like, okay, I am not against fanfiction getting published as actual books because it's like some fanfiction writers are really fucking talented. And we're gonna talk about fic recs in a second. The best Star Wars fanfiction ever read is not on AO3 anymore.
AO3.
You have to read it as a PDF download because the author got published and had to take down their AO3 stuff. Well deserved because their writing is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But I am not against fanfiction writers making it into the real world, and it's like, if they write an AU of these two characters that isn't so blatantly a ripoff of like pre-existing people.
But the cover is actually pretty blatantly.
Oh no, the cover art for this Reylo book is like, okay, that is Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley. It's like, if you can make it through writing fanfiction into actually getting a writing deal, that's fucking awesome. But if you're doing it with Reylo, what the hell?
Stop. Like, just stop.
What the hell and fuck?
Reylo, so bad.
It's so bad.
it's so bad, and I really wish that they would have just made Finray a thing.
Yeah,
I'm
like
a Finpo warrior,
we're Finpo warriors, but
but
Finray would have been fine.
Finray would have been fine.
We're
it
okay
would have
with
been
that.
predicted. It would have been set up from the beginning, and it wouldn't have been blatantly abusive.
Right. It would have been actually fucking healthy.
And there still would have been massive problems with it because Finn's entire character was devolved into
around this white woman.
protector of Rey, which is so stupid.
Rey!
But at least it wouldn't have been someone who had actively tried to kill her
Multiple
and was
times.
actively killing a bunch of people up until the very end when he has some sort of revelation and he decides that his dad, who killed him, maybe saw good in him and everything's fine.
Yeah, and it's just like, I remember back when The Force Awakens came out, and the audacity of J.J. Abrams to do this. The audacity of J.J. Abrams to say that he equates the scene in The Force Awakens with Rey and Kylo Ren in the chamber, where he's like using the Force to get into her mind. He equates that with rape. And then he goes on to have them kiss in his last movie.
It's
like the audacity.
It's bonkers, and
it's truly baffling. Like
that's like the Rise of Skywalker. The Last Jedi was bad, but the Rise of Skywalker is just like slanderous. Like the fact that you're going to take Star Wars as a whole and have a permanent blot on it as bad as the sequel trilogy. It's horrible.
It's
really
bad.
I haven't even seen the prequels. But I think the thing with the prequels is that they can't introduce so many new characters because they already have older versions of characters.
Yeah.
Or like younger versions of characters. So it's like you're not trying to do something new with them. It's already been established what they were doing at this time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not like you can fucking ruin them that bad. But
you did!
But you did, and I think it never should have happened.
It's just such... Yeah. I mean, the disappointment
I don't think anyone
factors...
involved with it or who saw it was happy with it.
No, I really don't think anyone came out of that trilogy happy with what happened.
Yeah. When you're going to have such a big cultural phenomenon as Star Wars, and you're going to fuck it up that badly...
Like, Jesus Christ.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And we really could have had it all.
Adele, we could have had it all. Like, we seriously could have. But no, Star Wars hates gay people and women and people of color, and we will never, ever, ever be happy again.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah. So before we get into, like, talking about fic recs, because I do have some fic recs, and I would like to... They're mostly... We've talked about the sequel trilogy mostly this episode because we just wanted to talk about how bad it is.
Yeah.
The sequel trilogy is why we hate Star Wars, because the original trilogy is so damn good. It's so good.
It looks a little silly, but it's like, you know what?
But in like
I'm
a
having
fun,
good time.
campy 70s way.
Yeah, it's camp.
It's camp. It's
Luke
cool.
Skywalker is camp.
Luke Skywalker is camp defined. Han and Lando are in love, or at the very least, exes.
Yes. And let's talk about like how like I feel like a lot of times the whole "I am your father" thing is like, okay, this is so cliche, but at the time it really was.
It really was. It's cliche because that happened.
It's cliche because "I am your father" happened in Star Wars, and I think
everything
that was
else copied that.
A really great plot twist.
Yeah.
Generally.
And I mean, I've seen. There's, like, if you look on YouTube, you can find a video of like really, really grainy footage of like a test audience for The Empire Strikes Back, like way back when it first came out. The reactions are incredible.
Yeah, because
no one
never
knew.
expect it. Here's this man, you can't see him at all, and he's this horrible person.
And then it's
no connection to
fuck
Luke
you.
at all.
He's the main character's dad.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like that's such a good reveal. Even though basically at this point you're born and you automatically know that Darth Vader is Luke's father. I mean, I knew that way before I ever watched the movies, but I still watched the movies, and I was still like, oh my god, they did that when I first watched that scene. Nothing in the sequel trilogy has that level of, like, holy shit to it.
Yeah.
Neither do the prequels, but we're talking about the sequels here. The prequels, I think, are very fun. They're just very camp, very badly written, but they're, like, a fun time.
Yeah.
And
it's not like slander.
It's not like slander, it's just kind of bad.
Yeah.
But they're, like, fun to watch. So, like, I wouldn't say they're bad in, like, I hate them sense. It's like, it's so bad it's good sense.
And the other thing about the originals, I feel like, is like, there's just a certain feeling that you get when you watch the original Star Wars movies that will not be able to be replicated.
No,
like the score that was in the original movies,
so good.
John Williams, and then you have like the scrolling text and the long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Obviously, they have those in all the other ones, but it just doesn't hit the same.
No.
And I feel like part of what makes the originals so great is that they're so old.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for the time, they were a really, really big deal in terms of movie making, especially for the sci-fi genre. I mean, the only really big thing that we'd seen before that was Star Trek, and that was... Star Trek is very good, but it's very much, like, focused on a different... Star Trek is focused on more, like... Not really the sense of action, but more, like, communications between humans and other species in a future world, and more, like, society. Whilst, at the risk of sounding like the Joker... But Star Wars is more like, okay, everyday thing. People can go see this, watch fun laser sword fights. It's fun. You know? Which is like, that's great. And it just makes me sad to see that hasn't really held up over the years. I mean, it has held up if you look back at the original trilogy, but with the newer stuff, it's just not as good.
And I think that, like, what the sequel trilogy could have done is brought a more inclusive cast to Star Wars, because obviously the original trilogy... Almost all white people. Women aren't given a super central role. Like, it's just kind of like...
Luke is a twink, but we don't know that.
Yeah, and like there's the weird Luke and Leia thing where it's like, why'd you do this?
Yeah, why'd you do that, George Lucas?
And I truly believe that if done right, the sequel trilogy could have just had a really badass, like Rey could have been super amazing, Finn could have been a Jedi and had all this, Poe could have been just top-notch fighter pilot, Han Solo type character.
Rose could have been awesome too.
Rose could have been so awesome.
Rose could have been the sequel trilogy's Lando.
Yes.
Not necessarily part of the trio, but still an important character and an ally.
And it could have been a Star Wars for the 21st century, which is what it should have been.
And it just wasn't.
But instead, it was a Star Wars fan fiction written very poorly.
In fact, it was even less woke than the original.
Yeah.
In the 70s, Leia got to kill her abuser, Jabba the Hutt, by strangling him with a chain. And in 2019, Rey had to kiss hers.
Rey had to kiss her abuser.
Which is insane that the 70s did it better. Or I guess Return of the Jedi might have been like 1980, but you know.
Like,
still the same
it's just so...
period of time. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a real fucking mess. And a kick in the face to people who have been fans for this whole time.
And wouldn't have been as bad if Disney didn't...
I'm not saying it's Disney's fault.
I'm not saying it's Disney's fault, but I am saying it's
But I am saying it's Disney's fault. Fuck the mouse. We hate the mouse.
Yeah, and it was just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite Star Wars movie?
My favorite Star Wars movie?
Like, of all time. And I am going to assume that this is going to be one of the originals.
Yeah, The Empire Strikes Back.
Absolutely, The Empire Strikes Back. I mean, I love A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, but I don't think anything can beat Empire.
Nothing hits the same, you know?
No, because A New Hope is like... Most of that is just exposition and
Yeah.
like laying the groundwork for the rest of the series, but it's just like The Empire Strikes Back done so well. You have the Vader scene, you have the introduction of Boba Fett, you have Yoda and Luke training on Dagobah, you have the whole Hoth scene. I mean,
it's not...
Lando...
I cannot stress this enough. It's not boring. I
not
find action
boring.
movies to be incredibly boring most of the time.
The Last Jedi is super boring.
The Last Jedi is horribly boring, but because... Here's the thing. The original Star Wars trilogy, they didn't have the big effects budgets. They didn't have CGI to animate massive fucking explosions.
Yeah.
Because of that, they actually have to do more work with, like,
character
other kinds
development
of fighting,
and like
other kinds of character
practical
development.
effects.
Because you can't have a whole movie where they're just fighting. You don't have the money for that. So instead, you actually have to have good fight scenes, but also develop things.
And I would say, I know at the risk of mentioning Harry Potter again, I feel like we do need to do a Harry Potter episode at some point. Because, I mean, first fandom I was ever a part of, which is super embarrassing for me, but like probably the case for a lot of people. But what I will say about those first couple of Harry Potter movies, they mostly use practical effects. And the CGI in those, and especially in like the first couple of ones, look really weird because it was 2000. It's just like, I feel like, and this is just about movies in general, we rely too much on CGI. And
It's
we
cool
should
when used effectively.
It's cool when used effectively, but it shouldn't be overdone, and we should bring back practical effects more. I mean, I think that the shark in Jaws looks super fucking realistic. None of that CGI, because it was 1975. And, you know, even like, I mean, the computer work in Jurassic Park is incredible. And that was the 90s. And I still don't think that I've seen a movie with better CGI work than Jurassic Park. And CGI has vastly improved since the Velociraptors.
CGI almost looks too real, and you're like, just stop. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree with you on that front. And it's also like, not to rag on the MCU, because this is not the MCU ragging episode, and there will be one, but like, the MCU has gotten to the point where CGI is the foundation for their entire franchise. And it's like, to the point where it's ridiculous, because, okay, have you seen Captain America Civil War?
Yeah.
Okay, you know how they had that big fight scene in the airport, Team Iron Man versus Team Cap? Okay, if you watch the behind-the-scenes stuff for that, that's green screen.
All of it.
The airport was green screen. It's a fucking airport. Why do you need to green screen that? Like, okay, planets and other worlds, I understand. But an airport in, like, Germany?
Yeah,
why do you need to green screen that?
Just go there.
Yeah, and so, like, part of what makes me semi-excited for this new movie, The Eternals, that's coming out from Marvel, is that the director was like, we actually went to locations and shot. And I'm like,
thank you.
for once, someone seems to be making a correct decision here.
I don't know. It's just, like, I would honestly rather have it look shitty than have it be so predictably explosion heavy.
No, I agree. And, like, it's fun to laugh at, like, the campy sort of hokey stop motion of, like the Tauntauns and The Empire Strikes Back and, like, you know, things like that. But it actually looks good. Like, it's
and,
a little...
like, those massive, you know, I don't know the names of planets or anything.
The AT-AT walkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was so fucking cool.
I mean, yeah, it's a little jerky. It's a little bit, like, you could tell, okay, it's, like, stop motion. But it looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good.
And, like, the sun and the moon and everything.
Yeah.
Like, that looked real. You know? Like, I just... It's stupid.
That's the thing. They just never should have made anything other than episodes 4, 5, and 6.
I think, yeah.
Like, maybe the prequels, because Anakin, like, as weird as the prequels were, Anakin Skywalker's story is still very interesting, but you didn't need to make anything after
Sequel trilogy,
The Revenge of the Sith.
Maybe just don't have the original trio in it at all if you're gonna fuck them up that bad.
Literally.
You know?
I get that you want to cash in on a nostalgia factor, but if you're gonna do that, don't even bother.
You are Star Wars, you're gonna make money no matter what.
Literally.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're probably getting near to the end of this episode. I feel like we've been talking for a while.
We've been talking for a long ass time.
But you know what? Good for us.
Good
if this doesn't save, I'm gonna kill myself.
You'll never hear from us again.
Again, ever, never, ever. So, Ficrex, do you have... I don't actually read a lot of Star Wars fanfiction. I love Finpo to pieces. It's one of my favorite pairings of all time, and I feel like I don't read enough fanfiction for it.
Here's the thing. So first of all,
we are an AO3 only household.
Oh, yeah. AO3 or AO3 downloaded PDFs adjacent household. Anything else, not valid.
Invalid, absolutely. And actually, I would love to talk about AO3 and communism another day.
We should make an episode just about talking about AO3.
Yeah, but so I don't really either, because the problem that you run into a lot when you're looking for
Raylo.
good Finpo fix is Raylo.
Yeah, there's a lot of Raylo Finpo overlap. It's very unfortunate.
And it's
Also,
so sad.
it's just hard to find good Finpo fanfiction.
And it's generally it can be hard to find good fanfiction, but especially
That's true.
for Finpo.
I think, okay, people will be like, oh, super popular pairings, you can find good fanfiction. And you can, but I think because they're so popular, you have to root through more bullshit.
Yeah, and you can't even do the thing where you sort by kudos, because then it's just
bad
smut.
It's just smut. It's just badly written smut. Yeah.
And it's so tragic. So honestly, I have not had great success, but there are a couple, which
Yes.
one of them we've already talked about. Tell me about the Big Bang.
Okay.
Big Bang.
This is not in any way related to the Big Bang Theory. We promised we wouldn't do that to you. I'm
But
gonna pull up the PDF that I have.
It's not even that long.
It's not that long. It's it's less than 40,000 words,
And it's just so good.
which like a lot of fanfics can get. Like I think the longest fanfic I've ever read was like 250,000. It took me like a whole summer to read. It was worth it. It was very good. Ashamed to say that it was from the BBC Merlin fandom.
Oh no.
I know.
It's okay. This is a safe space.
It's a safe space. Listen, it's so stupid, but the bait is real. You have to believe me on that
Yeah,
one.
I get it.
Okay, but it's not like I read that much of like supernatural fanfiction. I think one of the top ones in AO3 by hits is this really, I can't remember what it's called, but I think if you just sort by hits, it's like one of the first ones on like the first page. It's a pretty cute little drabble that I think came out like right after The Force Awakens, and it's basically just from the point of view of BB-8 and being like, these bitches gay, good for them, good for them. I would recommend that. Don't remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure you can find it super easily. This is the holy grail of all Finpo fanfics that we're about to mention.
The characterization is so good.
So immaculate. So
And
this was posted, February 6th, 2016, completed May 19th, 2017.
So before any of the shit.
Yeah, was
Or
that...
actually, it would have been completed after the release of The Last Jedi.
Is this...
Because I think it was
No,
2015.
no.
December 2015 was The Force Awakens. And then December 2017. So it wouldn't.
No, so this was before... This is post Force Awakens that this fic was completed.
And thank God.
And thank God.
It's really good.
And it is better than anything that ever happened in canon. So it's called Tell Me About the Big Bang. It's by the Brothers Winchester. I know, supernatural handle, but we're going to let it slide because we love this author. Once again, you can't find this in AO3 anymore because they got actually published, but you can find PDFs. If you just Google, like, Tell Me About the Big Bang PDF, if we end up posting this podcast anymore, I can probably just put the link to it in the description.
Support this person, even though you won't actually be supporting them because they're a published author.
But please read
the
this
Brothers
fic.
Winchester.
It's so good. The summary is literally one sentence. It says, there is a part of him that says, you are not human. And it is mostly from the perspective of Finn.
It's better characterization of the character.
It's so good. It delves into his trauma from being a part of the First Order and just like his dealing with being a stormtrooper and having defected. And it's him and Poe on this planet. There's a lot of Leia content. There's a lot of background, like Star Wars fighter pilot characters like Jessica Pava and Snap Wexley are there. Rey is not really there because at this point she's training with Luke, but there are a couple scenes where she like force conferences with them and stuff.
Finn-Rey.
There's good Finn-Rey friendship,
yeah.
and it's, you know, it's really good. This fic.
It's great.
I don't even remember how I found this. I know that I sent this to you.
You sent it to me, and I read it immediately, and I was like, holy
I can't remember
shit.
what I was doing. I think one day I was just... So periodically, I get in. I think you can experience this too.
Yeah.
I will just unprompted have this night where I'm like, I am in a Finpo mood tonight.
Yeah,
and I'll like lie on my face and be like, fuck, Finpo, because it's just so good. And I think one of those nights I was just like trawling through some like Finpo blog on Tumblr, like seeing if they had any recs that were good, because I was like, I trust this person, they have good opinions. And I find this link to this PDF, and I'm like, I looked at the word count, and I was like, ooh, it's like 11 o'clock at night, I don't know if I had the time for it.
Yeah.
I read the first sentence, and I could not stop, and then about halfway through, I was like, shit, I haven't sent this to Pixley yet.
Yeah.
So I texted to Pix.
And it's just like, there's totally a stigma against fanfiction that it's badly written, which so much fanfiction
So much of it is, and we
badly
understand,
written,
but this
and
is so
it's
damn
funny
good.
and bad, and I get it, but like,
This
you just haven't read good fanfiction.
You just haven't read good fanfiction.
Because this is like, it's published book.
like
level.
literally this author.
It's better than some published books
Yeah.
I've read, Red, White, and Royal Blue. And I think that, you know, it's a really genuinely good story about characters that aren't the authors.
Yeah, it's amazing. It honestly feels like it could be a Star Wars movie if Star Wars didn't hate gay people.
If Star Wars loved gay people, they would give us this.
Yeah, very well written. It's not overly long. It's only 2 chapters, I believe. Yes, only 2 chapters, and I think most of it is in chapter 1 anyway. It's from both the perspectives of Finn and Poe, but probably more emphasis on Finn. It's just so good.
It's amazing.
I can't really say anything else without like spoiling.
If you have brain rot like us,
If you have brain rot like us, please read it because it's great. And I read it like maybe once a year and just have like a cry session over it.
Yeah.
And then I text Pixley and I'm like, so I pulled up some other recs. This is stuff that you have not read. This was stuff that I had bookmarked in my AO3. First of all,
Best fic of all time.
we have the best fanfic of all
A
time.
Raylo fic by Treasy.
Please read this.
The summary is just a short Rey/Kylo fic. And it's actually quite short. Do we want to do like an...
Podfic. It's 12
Yeah.
words. Pixley,
Podfic.
would you like to read the fic and then the endnotes here?
Okay, sure.
So the fic reads, by Pixley.
Rey picks up Kylo and dunks him into the garbage. Fucking obliterated. Notes. Rey is a lesbian, and this ship fucking sucks.
So true.
I've never heard it worded better.
Yeah, this has like over 300,000 hits on AO3.
Tags-
There's so much discourse.
Tags Stan Luna and hashtag release the Ryan Johnson cut.
There's like, I've read the comments and it's full of so much discourse. It's so funny. And if you click on this person's profile, the only thing they
It's
posted,
the only
their
thing.
profile picture is wide Kylo Ren with some sort of editing done to it.
It's wide Kylo Ren, and then the legs are the legs of the "you know I had to do it to him" guy.
And I don't even know what his hands and face are doing, but it's great.
It's beautiful. 8,000 comments.
8,000 comments.
So much discourse for
It's
what?
so good. Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Highly recommend. I would like to recommend...
Best characterization of Rey.
Best characterization of Rey. This is another Finpo. This is not actually a fic. This is a comic.
Whoa.
That somebody... I think it's on Tumblr as well, but I came across it in AO3, so that's where I had it bookmarked, because somebody uploaded the art to AO3. So it's called Prism. It's by Star Maple and Stitchy. Very good. So if you're into soulmate AUs, which I personally have a little bit of a weakness for, this is the way to go. And the summary is just a 6-page comic set in a soulmate AU in which one suddenly sees colors upon meeting their soulmate. And it is a Poe-centric, short 6-page comic. So cute. Talks about his parents and just like him growing up around soulmates and him meeting Finn. fantastic. I'm gonna make Pixley read it after we finish recording this because Pixley's gonna like it, and I just spat all over my computer.
Nice.
Let's see. There's, even though it's a Beatles title, it's called "Here Comes the Sun" by Coffee in all caps. It's very short. It's like 1,000 words. It's just a cute little Finpo fic that I came across just about Finn pining relentlessly. And if you're into mutual pining, which you should be, read this fic. And then my last one is not actually sequel trilogy. It's Clone Wars.
So true.
And this is not shippy. It's called Kamate Kaora.
Love a good gen fic.
Yes, love a good gen fic. It's called Kamate Kaora by Kaznot, Kaasknot. I don't know. This is a very good fic. So, if you were unfamiliar with the Clone Wars or just the concept of like the Fets in general, they are all clones of Jango Fett. And Jango Fett in the prequel trilogy was played by Tamora Morrison, who is a Maori actor from New Zealand. So he is a man of color, and so as a result, all of the clones are also Maori because they are clones of Jango Fett. So this is a fic just about like Maori culture within the Star Wars universe within the clones. And the summary is literally just imagine the entire Torrent company doing the haka, in which the clones have a ceremony of their own to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Very, very good. And also kind of sad towards the end, because a haka can be like dances of like, challenge and like war, but it can also just be like a genuine ceremony. And there is some genuine like grief points in this fic. It's short, 3,500 words, would recommend. Very good. So there's a gen fic, some Finpo fics, an incredible Raylo fic. I feel like I don't read enough Star Wars fan fiction. I do have some Hondo Recs, but they are very much E-rated, so I wasn't gonna bring those up. There isn't enough Hondo fanfiction. There should be more. Like, there's a criminally low amount on AO3.
And I'm a fan of the Rose-Ray pairing, but as you will discover,
Not
there is a
very
real
much.
lack of good sapphic fanfiction out there.
Just in general, but for Rose-Ray.
Especially for Rose-Ray.
Not
Usually
a
it's a
lot
background
there.
pairing for Finpo, which is fine.
Which is like, I love Finpo, but it's like...
Give them their own story!
I want
God damn it!
I want Ray and Rose,
Yeah. Also, this is just a really interesting note. All the Finpo fics that you just recommended were written post Force Awakens, not post Jedi, Last Jedi, or
Maybe that's something to consider.
maybe that's something to consider as you're looking for good ones.
I have a Finpo fic.
Yes, it's quite good.
I think I kind of ran out of steam towards the end of it, but I honestly had a lot of fun writing it. So, should I fucking blast my AO3 handle on here? Okay, my AO3 is Connor's Whisk, which is, named after a Check Please character, and we will have an episode on that because that is probably our worst hyperfixation.
Check please the chokehold it has on us.
It's insane.
And nobody knows about it. It's
nobody
bad.
knows about it. It's really bad. That is Connor with an O, Connors, Whisk, as in like the baking instrument.
He's a very good writer. Go kudo him.
Well, thank you. I curse too much, it's a little unhealthy, but I do have my one Star Wars fic is a Finpo one, and it is a Groundhog Day AU.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Which I had a lot of fun writing. It is essentially, I don't know when it's set, I guess sometime...
We don't recognize canon in this house.
We don't recognize the canon timeline. It's just sometime...
Reality is what we make it.
Sometime post Force Awakens. Probably, I think it's supposed to be in this version of Star Wars canon that I created where it's replacing what happened in The Last Jedi. So just imagine that this is The Last Jedi, but actually good and queer.
So true.
Basically, Poe just has this moment, so... Finn and Rey and a couple of other pilots are on, and this is also like Jedi Finn is very much, because I was like, I have to write Jedi Finn. So Jedi Finn is very much a thing in this fic, but they end up not coming back from a reconnaissance mission on the First Order, and they're like taken as POWs, or they're killed, or it's just like implied that they're not coming back anytime soon. And Poe is like freaking out. There's also Rey Rose too. So Poe and Rose have some moments, and Rose and Rey are dating in the background. And so basically, Poe goes to bed that night. He's like, okay, I'm gonna get up real early next morning and just fucking like go out there, save my friends. He wakes up the next morning. Guess what hasn't happened? So this goes on for like multiple days where he keeps trying and trying to save Finn, and it just like he keeps failing. And I don't want to be full of myself, but I am kind of proud of how, like...
Really good.
I feel like at the end it might taper off a little in terms of quality, because I kind of was just like, okay, I just need to finish this. But I liked how it turned out in general, and I had a lot of fun writing it. So I do need to write more Star Wars in general, or just like more Finpo.
But it's also like the mental toll that it takes on you to think about them at all.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like, oh my god, it's so painful.
It's so painful. Yeah, it really is. I should write like Reyro's fic, and I've been wanting to write a Hondo fic for a while, ever since I rewatched The Empire Strikes Back a couple weeks ago. I just haven't done it yet. I've been on Ted Lasso lockdown. I've been writing Ted Lasso fanfiction, so... But yeah, Pixley doesn't have an AO3, but they should.
You know what? We exist in a little universe of our own.
Pixley is a good writer.
Thank you.
She just likes to pretend that she's not.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Someday we are going to rewrite the entire sequel trilogy just us. It'll be like our thesis.
It'll be like a massive thesis. It'll be like 300,000 words.
It'll be in screenplay format.
Yeah, and it'll just be so good.
Yeah, and we'll like, I don't know.
We'll be starving artists to
We'll be
rewrite
starving
something
artists.
that we will never be allowed to produce.
We're going to get a studio apartment in like...
somewhere random because we won't be able to afford
anywhere else. Like Marietta.
Yeah, like Marietta. We'll just hole ourselves up in this place and we'll just start writing.
Well, okay, I'm gonna be probably at Georgia State University. I don't know where you're planning on going.
I'll change my plans.
You'll change your plans. I was gonna say we could just have weekly FaceTime where we're like, okay, this is what we're focusing on this week. Forget about your 8 a.m. classes. We need to focus on making Star Wars great again.
Yes, make Star Wars great again.
Make Star Wars great. Mswa. Yeah.
Hey, Lucas, who
Put that
are
on
you?
a red cap. Who am I?
Who are you?
What? I don't know what you're asking me.
Ask me who am I.
I'm so scared of what the answer is going to be. Who are you, Pixley?
I'm Rey.
Oh God, Rey Skywalker. We didn't even talk about that. Nothing needs to be said there. Nothing needs to be said there. What's your name? Rey. Rey who?
Rey Skywalker.
Rey Skywalker.
Oh my god. So horrible.
Yeah. God, that's really how that trilogy ended, isn't it?
Rey Skywalker.
You could have just made her an actual Skywalker. Or, like, I was holding out for Rey Kenobi. That's what I wanted.
The amount of cool theories and shit that people had about who Rey's family was.
And then what we got was so bad.
Somehow.
Palpatine.
Somehow Palpatine returned, and we will never explain how he returned.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, I hate Star Wars.
Yeah. Any closing remarks?
Rey who?
Yeah. Rey Skywalker. Yeah.
Read a Reylo fic. It's the best thing out there.
Read a Reylo fic by Treasy. Read all those Finpo fics we recommended. Don't ship Reylo if you're sexy. Ship Finpo and Reyros.
Rey is a lesbian.
Rey's a lesbian. Poe is gay.
And her character may be horrible, but just imagine that she's someone completely different from who she is, and then she's actually pretty cool. So.
Yeah. And, yeah. Just gonna say, as a last little PS, please write, to any writers out there, I am begging you, please write more Han Solo and Lando Calrissian fanfiction, because I am starved. This is such a good pairing. And I'm not talking about like Solo era stuff. I am talking about Empire Strikes Back era stuff. They are catty exes to each other, and we need to explore that. I'm sorry. It's just this pairing is so good, and there's just not enough content for it.
This is a Hondo call to action.
This is a Hondo call to action. I'm gonna go home tonight and write some Hondo fanfiction instead of going to sleep because I have a push in the morning. So, okay. Well, that's why we hate the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
That's why we hate the Star Wars sequel trilogy, fully explained in great depth. John Boyega, I am so sorry.
John
Kelly
Boyega,
Marie
we
Tran,
love you.
I am so sorry.
And Oscar
Daisy
Isaac.
Ridley, I'm so sorry. Oscar Isaac, I'm so sorry. Adam Driver, you know what? I'm sorry for you too.
That's good soup.